We begin with the nation's bushfire crisis. Crews are working into the night in an effort to control bushfires burning across 2 states. The situation right now, 3 fires raging on the New South Wales-Victoria border have merged into a mega fire covering more than 500,000 hectares. An emergency warning is in place for Duns Road and East Awney Creek in southern New South Wales. The Hume Highway is closed in both directions at Duns Road with diversions in place. There are 2 emergency warnings in place for Victoria, one blaze near Mount Hotham in the Alpine region and another near Woolwa and Corryong on the border. Earlier, as many as 10 fires were at emergency level. Victoria's state of disaster has been extended into the weekend. And 4 firefighters have been injured in a blaze which broke containment lines in southern New South Wales. Eliza Edwards filed this report from Shannon's Flat.
Firefighters had to be withdrawn from the front lines of the Adaminaby complex blaze after it jumped containment lines in hot and windy conditions. 4 firefighters injured in the battle, 2 suffering minor burns and the other 2 enduring heat exhaustion. A Medevac helicopter arriving to fly some of the injured to hospital. At the Shannon's Flat Brigade, there was a concern embers would ignite spot fires in the nearby town of Adaminaby, where most locals heeded the warnings to get out, while some stayed behind to prepare and defend the town.
If this wind picks up like they're expecting it to and the heat comes like it's meant to, well, sort of either fire's got a spot and come through town or we got to get attacked pretty hard with embers.
We haven't unpacked our bags from last week. We're ready to go if we need to. But yeah, like I say, just got to keep it as normal as you can.
Still buckets full of water, bathtubs are full of water still. Kids and dogs are already gone. So I think just done a bit more trimming of trees and just cleaning up, I think we'll be all right.
Defensive work also carried out at ski resorts in the Kosciuszko National Park after the Selwyn Resort was destroyed by fire on Saturday. Red retardant used to stop the spread of fires around Thredbo, Perisher and Charlotte's Pass. Smoke is shrouding the mountains around Shannon's Flat and waterbombing helicopters are circling above with the firefight far from over.
The New South Wales Rural Fire Service has confirmed nearly 2,000 homes have been destroyed this season. Stella Todorovic has the details.
A return to dangerous conditions, temperatures soaring, winds picking up, all eyes on southern New South Wales.
You don't want to be in those red zones. We want people out of those red zones. We want them into safer places and the maps identify a number of towns and villages, a number of safer places where you would be better off going for the day and not being in harm's way.
It's a pattern authorities have become familiar with, a brief reprieve before the danger spikes again.
The best advice we have is that conditions will ease and we can have a little bit of a sigh of relief once we get through the next 24-48 hours.
A severe to extreme fire danger rating has been issued and there are fears more lives and homes could be at risk. And in times of crisis, the fire chief adamant it's all hands on deck.
We've got the ADF, all the different arms of the ADF working with us, and I bumped into some of them yesterday. So they're doing everything from logistics, welfare support, right through to specialist operations with aircraft. We've got machinery on the ground. We've got medical teams. There's a whole raft of things that are being well and truly integrated into state-based resources, contracted resources, the fire and emergency services. So everyone is doing their part in this very cohesive and coordinated firefighting and fire response and recovery effort.
As crews and residents face another dangerous day and night, it's been confirmed 1,079 homes have been lost since New Year's Eve. The total for the season nearing 2,000. So far this bushfire season, 20 people have been killed and more than 5 million hectares razed. Stella Todorovic, Sky News, Sydney.
As many as 10 emergency warnings were in place on Friday, with high temperatures and strong winds causing problems for fire crews. Gabriella Power filed this report from Bright in Victoria's Alpine region, where several communities came under threat.
A day of challenging conditions for firefighters. Temperatures soared into the 40s and wind gusts of up to 70 kilometres an hour were recorded in Victoria's alpine regions. The southwesterly change hit in the evening, causing blazes to become erratic and fast-moving.
Today's not over. We know that it's the lead up to the change and post-change is where the real risk for us.
There are fears the alpine fires will merge with blazes in East Gippsland. Army reservists worked with Victoria Police, knocking on doors, telling people to leave immediately. The ADF warned residents the closest bushfire is just kilometres away. Despite the evacuation order, some people are choosing to stay and defend their properties.
There's always a worry, you know. Fire's fire, you know. Even though this is our fourth one in 15 years and have done burn backs, you don't get complacent.
Got a car packed here with a few essentials and stuff like that. Yeah. Ready to go if we need to.
Yeah. Where will you go?
Look, it all depends on the fire and what it does kind of thing, who knows.
The CFA wasn't told the Army was arriving, but says it was a welcome surprise.
They're just here to lend a hand, and I think it's wonderful. We unfortunately don't have a great deal for them to do at the moment, but it's just great that they're coming out and offering their support. If your plan is to stay and defend, be prepared to do that, and keep an eye on your surroundings and take care, look out for each other.
More than 1.3 million hectares of land has been burnt in Victoria. 286 homes have been damaged or destroyed. No one is unaccounted for, and at present, no community is isolated by fire. Authorities say we will get through this together. Gabriella Power, Sky News in Bright.
A fire burning in a heavily populated area in Perth South has been described by witnesses as a flaming tornado. A bushfire emergency warning was issued for Coburn just after 2 p.m. after the fire jumped across the Kwinana Freeway. It was downgraded within about 2 hours when firefighters were able to get on top of the blaze. Still in Western Australia, and flames have come within metres of homes after an out-of-control blaze ripped through Perth's southern suburbs. The threat isn't over yet, as unfavourable winds have left authorities concerned the fire could break containment lines.
Margaret Genchard was in the shower when she heard helicopters flying overhead. What she saw outside were flames racing towards her home.
I just thought, this is basically a war zone. It's what it sort of felt like. But I don't know, you just sort of go numb too. You think, you just stand there and look at it in astonishment, and then you start thinking about, hey, you know, you got to do something.
The Baldivis resident turned sprinklers on to protect her house, a decision which proved priceless.
Embers were just flying through the air, and the trees were catching alight. There's big trees around here, and they were just catching light with the heat.
The fire front was fast and fierce as it ripped through more than 1,300 hectares of land on Thursday. Strong winds made fighting the blaze difficult for the more than 180 firefighters on the ground. But by daybreak, the fire had been controlled and, incredibly, no homes were lost.
There's word that one shed has been damaged, and that's all. I mean, we will have fences, I'm sure of that, but that's why we've sent the USAR team out to give us an assessment.
The cause of the fire was accidental. There have been reports it was started after a wheel axis on a boat trailer broke, creating sparks as it was dragged along the road. Residents wanting to return home are being told to be patient as firefighters work to keep the fire contained.
To make it easier for the firefighters, please stay out of the fire ground, because things can change very quickly.
Emily Evans, Sky News, Perth.
As South Australia endures its worst fire season, its country fire chief says it's lucky more people haven't been killed. No lives were lost in Thursday night's flare-up on Kangaroo Island, the same place where 2 men died less than a week ago.
Fire authorities breathing a sigh of relief. No lives lost and no one reported missing when a fire emergency again took hold on Kangaroo Island. Impact assessment teams are counting the damage to property.
Come on, off. Burn and off, will you?
It's believed some homes have been lost on the south coast, but it could have been worse.
Thankfully, there was not the damage that was once thought could have happened through Vivon Bay. I'd like to take this chance too to acknowledge the planning and the resilience of the people on the island to actually evacuate out of Vivon Bay to make sure that was the case.
Several firefighters suffered minor injuries in the blaze. 2 trucks were damaged. Much of the island was evacuated to Kingscote or Penyshaw as conditions flared. Fire spread to the outskirts of Kingscote throughout the night. Its airfield was evacuated, but the threat has since eased.
The fires were burning between Kingscote Airport and Kingscote, but the changing conditions should allow the crews to be successful in reducing spread. They will not be extinguished today. I would not want anyone to take, false hope from that. This is an ongoing and lengthy fire operation.
Kangaroo Island Wildlife Park was spared, fire racing to within a kilometre of the property. Its owners stayed to defend the 700 injured animals in their care. The island is resuming its recovery effort. The Defence Force was called on to help when 2 men were killed and 56 homes were lost last Friday. A focus remains on restoring power and drinking water across the island. SA Health is now warning of the impact of the smoke.
It reduces our air quality and it can really impact people's health. Particularly vulnerable people are those with already have lung conditions such as asthma, emphysema, bronchitis, but also cardiac conditions. If it's smoky outside, please try to stay indoors as much as possible.
The fire danger eased on Friday as temperatures dropped. Authorities expect their biggest reprieve in recent days. Emily Burley, Sky News.